Hey everybody, it's Kenny K here again with a 80s ditty um, called Vamp from 1986. Gets a 5.9 and gets a 5 from me. Um, Directed by Richard Wenk. Before I start this review, please like the video if you like it. If also subscribe, it's free, no worries. So you have a few known actors. You've got Chris McPeace from Meatballs. He plays Keith. You've got Robert Russler. He plays Jay. Also, he's in Nightmare on Elm Street Part Two. You've got Dee Dee Pfeiffer playing Allison. I actually didn't know she did play in multiple TV series, but I didn't know what those were. I never seen those. And then you've got the Asian friend Gede Gede Watanabe. Yeah, Young is his name in the movie. He's in Gremlins 2, the new batch. And then the head antagonist is Grace Jones, Katrina from, of course, Conan the Destroyer, and we also have Billy Drago. Billy Drago, I did a review with him, a movie review with him in it. I think two even, where he always plays a bad guy. It seems he's in the Untouchables, The Hills of Eyes. Always in the Untouchables, he's a gangster. In The Hills of Eyes, is one of the hillsmen, and in this one, he's a gang member, but a freaky looking albino looking gang member. Now, the reason why first of all, what sort of brought me down was I was looking at what I like are college and fraternity settings, horror movies and summer camps. I like those settings. Yeah, shoot me if you don't like it. And the, I mean, the intro of the movie was these guys in a fraternity, Jay and Keith, have to find a stripper for a fraternity party. They would provide the kegs, they would provide the stripper, animation, everything on their dime. Now, of course, Keith is saying, "Are you fucking crazy?" He says, "No, no, 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 no. I know a guy. I know a guy." So they go to Young. Young is this, looks like this entrepreneur of friendship. He's like hopeless to have friends. Nobody likes him, but almost to a point that it's cute. But he wants to invest in these guys. He wants to, go to the strip club. He wants to buy them a stripper. He has a car. Nobody has a car. Um, and so these three guys go to the big city and find themselves a prostitute. Now they arrive in the big city, a portion of it, and that's locked down every night. And from there on, it's all in the big city. It's in that portion of the city. The movie is in that portion of the city. Like I said, I wanted the story to be a, let's say, a vamp. They find somebody who wants to do it, a beautiful girl, right? And they had somebody who could potentially be a girl, the actress Dee Dee Pfeiffer, Allison, because Allison knew these guys. She works in this local strip club, and she knows these guys from high school, and she had a crush on Keith, and she still has a crush on Keith. She's a beautiful woman, and she and apparently no fucking vampire. Um, so they could have gone with her to the fraternity and let her dance a little bit, and Keith would have a fucking sexy girlfriend. But no, what happens is they go to this. First of all, they go to this coffee shop and they ask for the strip club. Where is it? And then these three gangbangers come in, albino gangbangers. I mean, white hair, not red eyes, but white hair, white skin. And one of them is the actor Billy Drago, and he's the boss of this gang. And one thing comes to another, and they fight. Okay, eventually they get out of there and find the bar, and the bar. And the funny part is the guy from the diner. The moment it gets dark, he closes. He wants to close up. He says, "It's closing time, you guys. Drink up." And then he completely dresses himself as a priest with the white collar, and then a giant wooden cross around his neck, like a necklace, but big, big ass cross. But then the albinos come in, and they are apparently not in. I mean, they don't. They're not in. The cross does nothing to them, and also when they fight, they kind of get their asses kicked. Jay is kind of an ass kicker, yeah. So I thought, okay, that's weird. And then they go into that club and they see a few strippers, and then they call up, and then you get Allison, and Allison, for some reason, she doesn't want to say her name. She says, "I'm gonna tell you, but you have to wait. You have to guess." And now, I mean, until the end of the movie, she keeps saying, "You have to guess. You have to guess." She's a little bit childlike, so. But in this case scenario, with the "who the fuck are you?" Because at that point, there is a point when vampires are chasing you, and you want to know who the fuck you are. And like I said, the movie, I also thought, okay, if they're not gonna do the fraternity thing, keep those three guys together. But no, they don't. Young is like a kid in Disneyland. He's like, "Ooh, the naked chicks, boobs," and Jay is trying to spot a decent stripper to get, to go back with them, and he and Kate is just sitting there. He's talking to Allison and shit like that. But then the you've got a manager. He's not a vampire, but he's like a zombie, under their control. But he's the manager, right? And he calls on the strippers that come on stage, and then he yells, "Here is our main head uh, stripper, uh, Katrina." I mean, then she comes up stage. Really, I kid you not, she looks like the daughter of Ronald McDonald. I mean, from McDo's, McDonald's. She's gonna have a hamburger in one hand, and a bunch of fries in the other. She looks like she has her face creamy white. She has this red wig on. a shirt with like Ronald McDonald has these what the red stripes. She doesn't do cool tricks like the other strippers do, like aerobics. She's just sitting there and always doing. Okay, and apparently Jay thinks that's the one, and I would be like, is that's the least sexy woman of the entire strip joint. Actually, one of the least sexy women I ever seen. So okay. Eventually, Jay goes to the back to talk with her, and he becomes a victim from her. Boom. Keith finds Jay, and he's now a vampire, and there is another girl with them, and she also turns into a vampire. They all have these fucked up faces when they become vampires. Great special effects, practical effects, and he kills her with a uh, the what's it called, with a shoe with heels, and put a heel through the heart. And then Jay's impressed by Keith, and then Keith doesn't want to kill Jay because he's his best friend, and Jay is kind of, he wants to feed, and he needs to feed because he's really weak, and he's saying, "You really would die for me, ain't you?" Okay, sorry, man. And he goes towards him and stabs himself with a piece of wood. Yeah, he puts a piece of wood in Keith's hands and stabs himself with it so he can, you know, move on. Because he couldn't kill him too. So there you go. Now, what happens after then is they get to the sewer lines, Keith and Allison. They put the bar on fire. Eventually, they in the sewers they find all the graves when daylight, and they put the entire place on fire with all the with all the coffins, and uh, you get Katrina, of course. She's there in her horrible self with her horrible face, vamp face. And in the meantime, Keith, it's already established in the dorm where he lives in that he's a great uh, bow and arrow guy, and he stole a few bow and arrows from a weapon store, and he because she has Allison like this, threatening to rip her head off or something, and then he fires one through her mouth, sticking against the wall, and then he fires one, but next to her heart, and then he sees that daylight is coming, so he destroys the wooden planks, so daylight comes out. Allison destroys the planks behind her, so daylight comes out, and again he does something, I'm not sure what, and he pulls the mill, so she's basically between two daylight. So spoilers, of course, right? I always forget that. Sorry. She's between imprisoned by daylight, and the middle part is basically also destroyed, and she is being burned. And you've got this nice tidbit that she does at when she's a skeleton on the ground. She does. So that was a funny tidbit. And apparently, there's another vampire called. His name was Vlad. He was the bouncer of the club, but Vlad gets killed by no other than Jay, because apparently he gave the piece of wood killed Vlad with a piece of wood, but the piece of wood that he gave to Keith, and Keith put it in the wrong place beside his heart. So, of course, he just passed the heart, and that's why he survived. But and also, when they wanted to get out of there and ended in the sewer, Young was also a vampire. We didn't see it, but I believe Jay implies that he fed on Young, and that's why he's back, himself. He's laughing again, and he wants to be with them because he's his best friend. And he says, okay, and but then he has a wound, and Allison sees this. Oh, he will get infected, and he thinks, "Fuck." He he opens the sewage lid. He opens it, and it's very sunny. And then he asks Elson, "Can you come and see?" Yeah, sure. Opens the lid, and she's like, "Ah, you shouldn't do that when it's." So she's not a vampire. They kiss, they make out, and they go away. Listen, this movie, first of all, also Billy Drago's gang. What the fuck was their purpose in that movie? I don't know. I mean, there's a moment when they're chasing them when they're on top. I mean, on top of the sewers. I mean, there's the dancing, and then you have on top of the up, the area with the vamps, and then you have the sewer. Okay, and then you have the dancing again, puts the dancing on fire, and then it goes in the sewer. And this and his gang are following him constantly, and then at some point, all these vampires are standing there, and he says, which which gang do you belong to?" And they just did. Doesn't he know about the vamps? And they attack him, and the fact that this part of town gets closed off by fucking metal railings, and they attack. Of course, they attack the entire gang. They are shred to pieces. I mean, what was his purpose in this movie? I didn't understand. If they're vampires, I do understand, but not if they're not vampires. The town was basically, that piece of town was Vamp City. Yeah. Also, this one guy with a diner. It looked like people lived there, but they made damn sure that they closed their gates and probably put garlic everywhere, crosses everywhere. But then you had, of course, the problems with that albino motherfucker Billy Drago, who's not a vamp. Maybe he's kind of profiteering from that shit, um, because there's no police. Yeah, there's a police officer there, but he's also a vamp. So there you go. They have a vamp. They have a police station there, but it's full of vamps. Okay, so. But the biggest thing that I also didn't understand was how in the hell was Elsa not a vampire in a club in a city full of vamps, right? She worked in Katrina's main hive full of vamps, and it's there where she basically fed. She fed on lowlifes, truckers, vagrants, pieces of shit, and people who wouldn't be missed. And Allison is working there not only as a waitress but also as a stripper, and she wasn't a vampire, right? And like I said, it would have been cool that they met up with Allison because Jay at some point says, "Oh, hey, Allison. Hey, Jace," he says, when they're escaping through the manhole, when Jay killed Vlad, the bouncer, he immediately noticed her, and Keith is so oblivious to her. It's weird. Um, yeah, I mean, it would have been a better story if they picked her up, they brought her to the fraternity house. She had, you know, she says, "Can I go to sleep because I'm kind of tired in the daytime?" And then at nighttime, they organize this party, and there you have Allison and her performance, and then she starts to fucking, you know, do a little massacre party of her own, and it would be cool. That would be cool. That would be a fraternity horror movie, not, in some city. That's what I was looking after. That's the reason why I'm giving it a 5 and not a 5.9. It's certainly not a 5.9, but it's definitely a watch. If you're a vampire fan, it's definitely a watch. If you're a horror fan, yeah, give it a watch. Has some. It's also a dark comedy, so you have some fun moments. So it's definitely worth your time. Yeah, especially if you're, like I said, if you're a vampire fan. So with that being said, Kenny signing off.